JD channel video. I know it's been a while, so today I'm going to be swapping the oil level sensor in my 325i, as well as reattaching the bumper because a lot of the clips broke, and clearing some weeds. It'll be fun. Today we're also using some 040 oil, and let's get to work. Alright, and to remove the MTEC 2 front bumper, or just pretty much a facelift bumper, it uses an E12 socket for these weird Torx screws that are really long. They're in the center. The crash bar is supposed to be mounted across on the aftermarket bumper, but I didn't have the clips, so now I'm going to install them. And my fog light covers came off, so it's kind of ghetto now. So let's take off the bumper. It's supposed to have two fasteners here on the side, two 8mm bolts, then the two here, which are the Torx, the special socket you can get at Harbor Freight for about $10 for a set, and then two here, but mine only have the two here for now. Also, don't forget there's cables in here for the fog lights, of course, as well as the two horns, which are two harnesses right on top of the horns. And my splash guard is gone, so I'm going to be trying to cut out the temperature sensor and relocate somewhere else on the frame itself. Ghetto because it fell off even though it was bolted in, so I don't know what to say. Hoping to find one at Harbor Freight today. The oil level sensor, you need to take out a shield which has 8 bolts in the corners, 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and 2 in that corner. I would suggest draining the oil first, which I see why. I tried to do it beforehand, and these are the 8 bolts. These are 16mm. Well, these are 7. I put the 8th one back because otherwise you have to take off the shield, and the shield then just kind of dangles. And the oil plug is in the middle of that, so I would suggest draining the oil first. Then for the oil filter, you need a 36mm. This is what I was using to try to take off the axle on the Civic, which is the same as the oil filter housing. So let's take that off. Alright, now the fun part. Now we're going to take off the shield, which in this gap right over here, there is the oil level sensor, which I'll show you in a minute, that has 3 10mm bolts. I'm obviously leaving the 2 screws in the front just to let it hang, because I'm not a fan of aligning things. I would suggest probably taking it off, but then you'd have to align it with this. Or I guess there's 3 screws here, but I'm going to take a shortcut. It might leak in the back, which I would make sure this is clean. Look how dirty it is. At this point I'm like, alright, just get it done. Alright, so underneath the cover you have 3 10mm bolts and the sensor. You unplug the sensor first, and then obviously unbolt it, and then swap out the sensor. Oil will come out, so have your catch can nearby. I stand corrected. There are 3 nuts here. I'm sorry if I'm not really videoing it, but without a lift, there's not much space. But this is probably a bad sign. This is the stock one. And I tried to order a stock one, but none of them were showing up, so I got an aftermarket one. But obviously, it's longer. Like, probably about, who knows, like a millimeter or so. Let me put them side by side. Which, I mean, they have the same bolting points. Some of them even market themselves as hella. When you look at it, they put it on top of the engine. It's a better idea. See, it's about a millimeter difference. O-rings there, everything else looks like it bolts the same. It's the only one I got, so I have no choice. But another point of why you should always get OEM, but the other thing was, I think OEM, if you got it from like say FCP or like that, was at least 10 to 20 times more because of the lifetime warranty. You could get it other places for a lot cheaper. This was a couple of bucks, and it was the only one that came up. First few times I started ordering a sensor, they kept saying that it was going to be shipped, and then it never got shipped, and I got a refund. So eventually I just said, you know, the first one shows up. So it was this guy. Kind of regret it because of the way it looks, but oh well. Let's install it. Enough, the plugs were different, so I think it was for a different car. It said that it would fit most vehicles, but I think that there was one different one for the smaller engines, which kind of sucks. So I instead decided to put the old one back, which stinks, but I swapped over the, the O-ring. So the old O-ring is here on the eBay one, which this is inverted in the other one. And I don't know if that really would have made a difference, but it is shorter anyway, so another reason why to buy OEM. So now I'm going to go torque the 8 bolts, which they tell you do not reuse them, but I'm going to in this case. They say because I guess you need new threading, and they say they strip, but you torque this to 43.5 foot-pounds. It's a 16 millimeter, and there's 8, which I'm going to just torque them, and then after that we'll continue with the oil change. Alright, for the oil change process, it's similar to the E39, except for there's different things located in the engine bay. So now we're going to add some 1040, which was recommended by a lot of the BM enthusiasts, and see how it runs compared to the 530. Sorry, 040, I mean. Not used to saying that. Alright, sorry. Now check for leaks, start it up, but first reset the oil service light. Hold the odometer till it goes to reset. Alright, press that button. And then press it, and see, now it changed to 15,525. Now it goes end, so now when you try to start it up, it'll say 15,500 till next oil inspection. Right. So start it up. And all my LED lights, kind of get it to refresh by hitting the hazards. Once it runs for a little bit, it goes away. Let's go check for leaks. And my oil level sensor did turn on, so it is busted. Let's go check for leaks though anyway, and I guess next oil change I'll do it. Check in the usual spots, the oil filter housing, make sure there's no fresh oil there. There could be some in the back, feel around. And then check underneath. It's not oily, but no oil there. And these are the 8 bolts I was talking about. 2 here in the corner, 2 here, and 2 here. They suggest not to reuse them, but I mean most people do, and was able to be torqued. You torque it to 43 pounds and back on, nice and tight. Now let's take this out and drop it off the ramp so I can put my bumper back. Got the bumper reattached, most of it's on, but at least it's a lot more secure. I forgot to put the grill back on again, but honestly it fell off the last time I put it, so oh well. Now always remember with the oil to properly dispose of it. With the filter I have to put these in these jugs for the county, so always properly dispose of it, and then most places will take your oil or even pick it up for recycling. They'll only pick it up in these jugs, so I have to fill that one up and this one. Alright, so let's fill it up. Alright, so I put the other one in the back, it's so oily and made this mess. Let's try it again for the second one. Alright, well that concludes this episode, which a little oil, markings, bumper fitted on. A lesson learned: for important sensors, even if it takes a while, go OEM, do not go aftermarket, because then you'll have an issue like that and pretty much have to do it again. I guess I'll change my oil level sensor during the next oil change, so that sucks, because there's fresh oil now and have to do it again. Thank you for tuning in. Take care.